Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler for Melda Production, and today I'm going to show you how you can create your own custom speakers and IRs using MCabinet. So MCabinet is really cool because you can analyze IRs and then adjust them. But if you think, hey, I don't have a bunch of IRs or I just want to create something new and unique, you can do that too. So I'm going to show you how you can do that. So here we start out, usually it has the resonator on, but I turned that off. And what we're going to do is use some of the EQ to create something that's similar to like a 4x12 cabinet you might use for rock. And so I'll show you how to use the EQ for this, but if you're wondering like, hey, how do I know what EQs to use and things like that, you can use another profile or an IR that you already have as a model. So here I have loaded this, and this is kind of my model, and I want to make something similar. It doesn't have to sound exactly the same, but if it's too far off, it's not going to sound like a speaker. So let's go back to A here. Now I'm going to do some high cuts and low cuts. You set these however you want. I'm going to set this maybe around like 80 or so, 12 decibels per octave. Let's try 24 actually, a little bit more. Now here I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to go down to around 6,000. You can set this a little bit higher, a little bit lower if you want, whatever sounds good to you. I like to use a 24 decibel per octave or 36 decibel per octave. Now this is going to get us somewhat close, but you're going to notice it's going to be kind of unbalanced and there's going to be too much high end and not enough low end like this. Okay, let's compare that to an actual profile. Now, instead of just trying to like EQ and do a bunch of things, what we can do is use the tilt control. So you see tilt here, if you look at the blue line, it does that. So let's set this to around between -10 and -20. So let's just compromise around like -15 or so. There we go. That's better, but you still need to do a little bit more work. Like I said, these don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be exactly like the IR, another IR, but you want them to have like a good sound you can work with. So once we have these, we can just reuse them over and over again to create more and more unique sounds. So this is just kind of like the template or prototype. So what I'm doing here is I'm just cutting out 500 hertz. Let's do like 9 decibels. Pulling the Q a little bit. That's already sounding much better. The next thing I want to do is pull out some more, or between 1000 and 2000 hertz. Move this around till it sounds good. That seems pretty good. Now, getting closer to what I like, but let's put some like dips in there. We can do that easily just using number 4, right-click it to bring up the main menu. Okay, we're going to use the harmonics here. Now, what this is going to do is just going to add some more little dips around there. Let's bring in the Q a little bit too. Harmonics, you see, oh, okay, it's bringing in these dips. It does actually 16, but that's going past 20,000 hertz, so you can't see it. So let's bring this down to like 5 or so. And switching it to linear mode will kind of bring them in too. So linear, here we go. We can also adjust these semitones to get exactly what we want. So let's put these at 100% and then just kind of adjust them until it sounds good. That sounds pretty good, and if I think, that seems like it's a little bit too much here, I can either bring this down lower, like maybe here or so, or I can move it back around 6,000 and change it to 36 decibels per octave like this. And I might want to check it against the profile first. Not perfect, but it's good enough, I think. So from here, to save this as a profile, we're first going to export it. So hit Export IR. any place on your hard disk, save it. I have it saved as synthetic IR. Replace it. Okay, now let's just change this back to the default patch. Turn the resonance off. And now we need to re-input it. Just click Menu, and it says Analyze IR. Find it. And there we have it. This is our new profile. Okay, compared to the profile. So it's a little bit more bassy, but I can live with that. And so you can make this however you want. If you don't particularly love the sound of this, of course you can change it. Another thing I should show you how to do is the flattening. So this will bring in some of the sides. So if I put it at 100%, it makes it flat. But if I do it the other way, it brings it in here. So I might want to do that if you think, oh, there's a little bit too much bass and a little bit too much treble. You can do that. But I think this is all right. So now I want to save this as a profile. So let's save it under specific IR, call it video profile. Okay. And now we can use this to construct our own sound. So let's go to the resonator, resonator 1, turn the stereo off, and let's just look under presets here. And let's look for tone mono and try something like this. Now, to me, it's a little bit scooped, but it's okay. It's close enough. So what I would probably want to do now is just get rid of some of this. I noticed a little bit too much resonance down there. We can just adjust the decay, smooth a little bit of that out. I think it's a little bit too scooped. We can go to the depth and just bring that down like this. Now let's listen to it. This is the original. And if I like that, I can export it and we're done. But we could do the same thing with other profiles. So here's another one I made. I'll flip through a few of these. And you don't even have to change the resonator. So I have a few other ones, and you can just use these however you want. So anytime I had a sound, I could just pick one of these profiles and come up with my own unique IR for that song or whatever I wanted to. And I'll show you one more. I'll use a clean sound instead this time. Okay, and I'll use another one I made. Let's try this Digital USA. So let's just listen to the profile first. That's cool, but it's very dry. So let's go into R1 again, and let's just do this from scratch. So I'm going to choose one of the algorithms. For this type of like major EQ moves, I like to set it to C and turn the smoothing up like this. So you can see like, oh, this is doing like fairly big moves. Now I think, okay, let's try adjusting the mids a little bit. No. Let's see how this sounds. It's a pretty big scoop. That's good, but I think just a little bit less, so I'm going to turn the depth down like this. Now, this is good, but I want to add some resonances that are a little bit sharper so it sounds more like a room or like an ambience. So let's put on some headphones. If you have some, put them on just so you can hear this a little bit more easily. Now let's go into Resonator 2, and we can do this by hand, but let's use some presets. Let's try the resonances mono, and let's look through these until we find something we like. This actually isn't my favorite, but it's probably the easiest to hear. And I don't really like it in this low end, So what I can do is just smooth it out. But you see, hey, it's not going up as high as I want it to. So all I have to do is go here where it says frequency, just move this up, and it'll show where it starts to work. So there you go. Decrease that, and I think it's a little bit too much, so let's move it down a little bit, just so not so much resonance. So let's hear it again. Now to me that sounds a little bit more natural. Move it up a little bit. Now let's just do an A/B of before and after. So copy it, go to C, paste it, turn these two resonators off. And so this is the before with just the profile we made, just the synthetic profile. Now here it is with the resonator on. So those resonators seem to give it more character and a little bit like air or room sound or ambiance or whatever you want to call it. And if I like that, of course, I can go and export it. If you want to see the waterfall graph, is that what it's called? I'm not sure. You can see it here, etc. And we're done. We can also just save this as a normal preset, so that way if we want to use it again, we can do that also. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what this can do and what it's about. If you liked these, I'll try to upload them so you can download them yourself and play with them. But of course, if you come up with something cool, upload it so you can share it with everyone else. And we have lots of interesting and unique profiles. But anyways, if you like this, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment or question down below, and check out all the other plugins at meldaproduction.com. Until next time, see you.